going to be a matter of, in this setting, and we've talked about how important experience is, this far in it. But Awoken, I mean, it can be quite a crazy map. It's very, very small. There's a lot of angles that you can catch people off. But I feel like certain champions can be highly effective, but mobility is key here. Picking those champs that can move around freely. The less restrictions you have, the faster you can trap people, the faster you can beat people to those really important items, catch them off spawn, and the list goes on, really.
I thought two kind of very different reasons. We have two very mobile champions. We've got the Ranger and the Doom. Doom is going to have some great double jump opportunities over various parts of the map. I think Rocket to the light armor and connector is kind of one of the most important ones. But then Ranger, all of a sudden, it's every 45 seconds, give or take, with your hourglasses. We could see again the aggression or maybe the desperation that could be needed sometimes in order to get out of those tricky situations. But catch up. It looks like we're here. The first game.
The first match.
Kickoff. Let's do this, man. Everybody, this is going to be GaRpY going versus cha1n. They're getting set right now here on Awoken, and it looks like GaRpY, he's going to be up first. He's on the Doom, has the Mega Spawn, goes up to connector for a second, but he really needs some weapons to work with.
I have to stock up first. He's going to have the LG in hand. Plenty of stack to work with as well. He's going to spring the trap. cha1n, minimal damage on the entryway now, but he gets the beat down to armor. Perfectly beat with that fantastic rocket. GaRpY, he made that read. He's going to jump down to armor. I'm going to spring the trap. He just didn't factor on there being 1 HP left. What a way to start things off to.
That's unbelievable. GaRpY's going to hate looking back at that video. But the thing is, this is really tricky for cha1n. It's great. You've got the first blood. You have the frag, but you have no control. Both of the major items have just gone to GaRpY. So it's harsh to call it a mistake, but it's like you almost didn't want that frag at all. You would rather have moved away from the fight and been able to both recuperate on HP.
It's a game of momentum, and if you're in a terrible situation, you'll get the frag, but at what cost?
Quite. But cha1n has actually done some really good damage, so even though GaRpY was at about 175, 175, he's lost a whole load of that. And cha1n's now trying to get into a position where he can challenge for an item. It seems like he's kind of just lost a little confidence as he moved over to center map, and he's backed away a bit. He really needs to get some good damage out, otherwise he's going to get totally suffocated here.
And he knows running towards that armor is a big risk. Both players now making sure they can listen out for each other. cha1n's going to know that GaRpY's near there to control it. Now he's taking the damage too. There's a good chance he can retreat and then pick up that armor. So now it's going to be out of play. cha1n trying to get something that resembles damage. There's a rail, and Awoken, it's such a fast and furious map. It demands that you hit those key rails, because if you don't and they have that one little bit of extra stack, you're in a bad situation when a fight finally breaks out.
cha1n's been doing an amazing job actually getting himself to challenge for control. He might be in a bit of trouble here, but GaRpY doesn't spot where he is. Rocket, he gets pushed out the map, but they're all back in. Won't be enough as GaRpY picks up the frag with LG. I think cha1n was really close to contesting to get himself to 2-0 though, before that tribal damage he took in the water.
You can see the strength of the champion picks. Ranger says something else about those pesky ring outs, but GaRpY not quite forced onto the back foot, as now he's going to pick up that Mega. Understanding there's going to be some timing there as well. GaRpY keeps the control. It is going to be 1-1, but the second Doom gets a giant stacking beat. Quite a pain. Wonderful little rail now. cha1n's in a bit of a spot of bother. There's not a lot of resources there to heal back up, and GaRpY knows he has him cornered.
Yeah, you know that he's on low health as well. A rocket jump wouldn't even be a terrible idea. He finds him at the top. No flicks. Going to switch safely to a different weapon. Oh, he hits the rail anyway. That's going to be GaRpY taking the lead. And he's still cycling the items. I don't even know how many rotations it's been for him that he's been getting both of the major items.
And GaRpY actually opting to try and go for damage first. Let's push cha1n away from the heavy, making it more free. We can pick it up. He didn't take a lot of damage actually while trying to force that situation. Minimal damage on the rocket as well. This should be another kill. cha1n's going to fall for another time. 3-1. And GaRpY keeping that stack, remaining the timing on Mega. He knows he can go back there and collect it. The rail would have been collected. He definitely heard it.
So that long range thing he's got to be a little careful of. A little drop from cha1n. Unfortunately, those rails that he was hitting at the beginning when he was out of control, he's not been able to continue that same line of play. He went a little passive earlier, so I wonder if that's damaged his chances a bit, but there's still plenty of time in this map for him to make that comeback. It's only 2 frags behind. He's 100-100. Anything can happen.
Another missed shot. I know sometimes these shots are pretty tricky, so you don't want to sort of discredit it too much, but I mean, in this stage, you almost like demand perfection when you're on a stage like this. You have to play at your best. And look at how many shots that cha1n unfortunately is missing, and it's just letting GaRpY freely run around this map, almost unchallenged. And when he finally manages to catch cha1n, he just simply has a bigger stack.
I like this. He's baiting the item. Now he's got the heavy. He's taken a rail. Oh, big deal. Now I can go back and actually really make use of it. Pops the berserk, which is slightly strange. He maybe wanted to just try and dodge over to get to the heavy with that extra speed boost.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that play Doom, you wouldn't expect it, but in this kind of setting, the berserk isn't really a damage tool. It is mobility. It's that instant burst of speed. Makes you a little bit harder to hit. And of course, it made cha1n miss that rail. The second berserk was popped, but
he has actually picked up a mega health, and I can't remember the last. It's like at the beginning of the game when he spawned at mega health. That's when he last picked it up, I think. It's an insane control. He's right below. GaRpY just about hears it. He gets a direct rocket. GaRpY's rockets are kept up there, absolutely unreal. If we start seeing him on fire with that weapon, I don't know what cha1n's going to do. What a rail, though, through the teleporter. See cha1n his corpse falling into the void.
I don't think there's ever been a time in Quake Champions where GaRpY's rockets haven't been amazing. He has had some of the strongest rockets in this community, and with 100 damage, it's definitely doesn't tickle here. But 4-1, half of this map is already done now. 5 minutes already ticked off. This heavy should go to cha1n, but how much bonus damage is GaRpY going to land? Oh, no, sorry, GaRpY. My bad. Didn't quite spot that we changed over there. I'm not a morning person, so.
It's all good. It is early here in Dallas. I don't blame you at all, but cha1n, when he's going for these rail exchanges, he needs to be the one being favored in those fights. He's all of a sudden on the back foot, 2 rails back to back. I smell a frag for GaRpY within the next 30 seconds, unless cha1n can do something really impressive.
But it is that game of control, right, where cha1n hasn't got a lot of pickups at his disposal, especially seeing as the heavy has just been collected, and so barely short on that prediction rocket. I mean, he had the right read. He knew GaRpY was coming there, but he just couldn't get the damage, and that's been a constant struggle for him. Since the very beginning, we've seen very little damage from GaRpY at all, and GaRpY's just been kind of doing what he wants.
Yeah. First one, rocket, not bad. cha1n, though, just getting eliminated completely. Those rockets were ridiculous. He was not ready for this. I was just about to say how I thought cha1n was doing a good job getting himself back to 100-100, but that needing a connector, he's not the Doom. He can't double jump out of the rockets quite as easily. And GaRpY, though, under pressure with the lightning gun, cha1n going in, almost gets the kill. GaRpY down to 16 health, but is still going to persevere and extend that frag lead.
I mean, I can understand why cha1n went in. He knew there was a missed rail, so during that downtime, GaRpY was completely victim to any damage he could throw out. It's just that in the LG 1v1, the stack mattered, and GaRpY just had better aim when it really mattered.
I think that cha1n actually may have run out of ammunition right at the end of the fight, because his lightning gun was brilliant.
Almost like it just stopped doing anything, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, more rockets. And they're going to hit their mark. Getting some free LG to boot on the staircase. Not a lot of mobility options there.
That's the rail right off the spawn. This spot here in front of the teleporter, if you get a frag, you can almost force the spawn to happen inside the lightning gun room. So you're probably going to see a lot of that happening on this map. Unfortunately, GaRpY couldn't execute just then, but it's definitely something you have to watch out for off your respawn.
I mean, I'm starting to eye up the time limit, and I'm starting to eye up just how much of a difference the frags are now. cha1n, he knows he needs to make something happen. Goes in for the die roll, but it is going to work out. But once more, I'm a little bit conscious about his health situation now. GaRpY's going to spawn near the rail, and with cha1n's current stack, I mean, he's starved for resources. That's a really important rail.
It's ridiculous rail. You can really see him there. He needs to get that mega. Okay, rocket jump. That's fine. There's no light armor up at the top. He's got about 20 seconds to get as many resources as possible until he needs to just totally get on the game. What is going on with cha1n's rails at the moment? He's being so quick finding those angles, and each of these rails are becoming more and more important. GaRpY now is just hiding in banana. He wants to get the hell away from him and try and start protecting this lead. It's at that point in the game where you can start thinking about playing passively. More rails has hit like 4 in a row. GaRpY is so weak. He's going to have to bite the bullet soon, take that risk, and try and go in for the kill.
I mean, part of me was almost half expecting GaRpY to try and steal away the heavy just to make sure that it's not going to be there for cha1n. Like in the next side, he's not going to try and stay alive. There's not a lot of time left.
I love it.
Oh, what a shot!
Amazing play there from cha1n, and he's on track at the moment. 4 frags is absolutely feasible. If you can ensure that GaRpY doesn't get the weapons that he needs, you can still push in on him.
Now, there can be comebacks made. It's just the momentum needs to begin, and it needs to begin now. GaRpY's going to be in a position where he can start to slightly delay his spawns too. The moment we hit that 1 minute, You know we're going to start seeing it. GaRpY trying to play a defensive game, caught off guard.
Oh,
and
no!
there's the ring out! No ring out necessary, it's a combo instead. The map doesn't get to kill you, it doesn't have that right.
Oh, this is a really good GaRpY. He's going to get full control again. So even though he was a little bit low at the end, he's able to keep pushing. He's found GaRpY at the lightning gun. He's surely going to make this 5. GaRpY's done some great LG damage.
Oh
has
my.
making him weak. But there's still a couple of items that cha1n could pick up. Found on the LG down a banana. GaRpY's in trouble. He's using the berserk. He's got up the bounce pad though, and that's messed around of cha1n's movement a bit.
I mean, GaRpY was in a terrible situation. I totally understand the berserk. There was like no weapons for him to use. He had nothing at his disposal. Now he's trying to run. He's just collected an LG. That little loop back, crucial to make sure that he can finally fight back. 30 seconds on the clock. cha1n needs to find him, and he needs to find him now. There's not a lot of time left on this first map soon.
Well, this is going to be the mega health. So he's stacked, but no, what's the point of being stacked when you have no time to work with? He's looking him in the back areas, but he's using the machine gun spawn at the moment. cha1n might find him too late. He's finding him through the teleporter. He's going to hope to kill him and get a really fast respawn. 10 seconds. He should have been looking to force the spawn through the teleporter. But maybe he knows something that we don't. He's got 3 seconds to go.
He hasn't got time. There is no time.
GG.
Oh. That was a half-fought map number 1, and it just came down to the million-dollar question: where is the spawn?
Exactly. The thing is, what I would have thought of cha1n, and it's hard pressed. We saw what GaRpY was doing with those spawns, forcing them into the lightning gun room. A lot of players like to go for the nail gun. The thing is, there's a 3, 4, 5 seconds it can take for you to respawn. I think he just had to go for nails there, and that would have been his biggest chance to try and force it. However, what a drama that we have in the first map. I hope it's a sign of things to come here in today's prize matches and championship match.
I mean, the fact that that was just map number 1 of the day is kind of ridiculous.
It's early here as well.
But it is actually very early. You know, to be able to play at that level this early in the morning, it's not easy. You know, I think a lot of people at home can barely do that when they wake up and go, I'm gonna play, I'm warm up for a bit. Give me an hour. Give me an hour, and I'll be all right. But yeah, that map was. Ultimately, it was just GaRpY leading the charge for a significant amount of time, and then in the last second, I think what really turned it around was the moment we saw berserk popped, and just that duke at the end. You know, it just wasted more than enough time to kind of throw off where cha1n was trying to go. It allowed GaRpY to just kind of get some breathing space, and he was in a terrible position. You know, it really was the berserk that saved his skin, because it was, I have no weapons, and if I didn't have this instant burst of speed, there was no way I think he'd even have been able to outrun cha1n.
And it's also getting that read on your opponent. He would have built up some data through the group stages, and you're just feeling that, okay, maybe he's hiding over at the power-up spawn. You know, if you make a different read, you go down to the machine gun, it is like that. It's too dangerous normally. You wouldn't expect someone to go there, because if they're found, there's no escape whatsoever. You can't juke and go around the outside very easily, especially if a rocket lands at your feet. But you know, on any other given day, maybe he could have made that comeback. I think just GaRpY had too much. He had too much good work at the beginning. He had about 5 or 6 minutes of full control of the map before it was going a little more back and forth. And yeah, he couldn't get it done.
It's the nature of time limit duel, is that you can, they're ultimately one player, there's a good chance they're going to spend a lot of the map just trying to catch up. You know, playing from behind is not easy, especially when, you know, it just feels like you can't get anything going. There was a significant gap between frags. I think it was like 6 or 7 to 1 at one point.
Yeah.
So the fact that cha1n was even able to bring that back and have something that resembled a comeback, because I was almost ready to write it off. But that's time limit duel. Yeah. You can never counter out. Until there is not physically enough time left to make a comeback is always possible. And it's very, very exciting in this setting.
And I believe that we are going, if I remember correctly, Ketchup, that we're going to Molten Falls next. I happen to remember in my mind that we've got an Athena being played by GaRpY, and I believe Galena is going to be used by cha1n. GaRpY's just won cha1n's map pick. Do you think this is going to be a troublesome story for cha1n? Because I was expecting maybe a stronger start in the series for him.
I mean, you have to think about it, right? If you picked a map and it didn't go to plan, it takes a lot of mental composure to make sure you can get back up on that horse. But it's going to be a little bit of a switch up now as we go into map number 2.
Let's do this catch-up. It is beginning. cha1n really needing this map in order to, well, confidently stay in this series. We've got the other way around, in fact, I had it. So it is cha1n who is going to be on the Athena. We've got GaRpY on the Galena. We're going to see the Galena to begin with. He's already set a totem down, but it has already been vanished in the aggression of cha1n.
I mean, Galena's always been a pretty staple champion as far as GaRpY's concerned. He's had some really wonderful totem placements, but cha1n going all-out offense. There's not a lot of cells left, so Ooh, what a shot. And wow, how about 2? And his reward will be heavy. And if he's fast, maybe he can try and get something on the Mega. Even if it gets taken, he's going to get a free bonus shot. There's no armor on the side of cha1n. He's in a not very good position here. Oh, the Rockets are on the money. But the rails even more so, the teleporter saving GaRpY's skin. That was just wonderful map positioning.
He's got to be very careful now. There's sub 50 HP. LG spawned there from cha1n. He is going to be able to come back in that. GaRpY pushed a little bit deep after that frag. Maybe surprised that he actually picked it up. Again, from the beginning, with cha1n's aggression, he's not getting that early damage that he needs. He really needs to be on the ball now with the rockets at least.
GaRpY, he has to be kind of careful in this fight. He only has really a rocket launch to pump out the damage, but cha1n, the perfect read on when GaRpY's going to jump down. He was more than ready for that angle.
Yeah, I think if you were to pick a weapon that was cha1n's speciality, it would be the railgun. And on the GaRpY side, it's certainly the rocket launcher. But obviously, neither of them are novices with any of the weapons. These are expert players over here. We'd have a rail close range, but GaRpY not really having full understanding of the timing and just hoping that he could get that heavy armor. That's not the way you want to do things. The lead that he had established is already completely disintegrated.
Uncertainty normally sends a lot of messages to players in these kind of situations. And now the fight swaps to rocket! Perfect weapon management, knowing that, hey, if I can get the rocket, that's the highest amount of damage I can output, and I need that now. I really love this fight. The micro-management, and here's a little bit of the use for Athena and why she's so dangerous on Molten Forge. There are so many different angles and heights you have to reach.
Oh wow, in close range on the rail, does have a chance to go through a teleporter to make that switch away. He's going through there, his nail gun spam. But both players will eventually walk away from each other. Placement spotted at the top, LG. cha1n, can he follow it up with a nice rail shot? Might not need to, he's right below him, going in with the lightning gun yet again, but cha1n now is the weaker player. Those hooks just saving him a little bit so he can stack up before getting that mega health.
And GaRpY is not interested in taking that fight whatsoever. He is going towards heavy, but I do worry for him just a little bit. cha1n still had a pretty good stack, but a little bit slow there, trying to get the chase, but GaRpY ready. And that was why, if I go back to heavy, there's a good chance I'll beat him there, and I can now get out. He got good damage while retreating too, so at this moment in time, he has a little bit more of a situation, but on Molten Falls, that can soon disappear.
Really interesting, the pacing of the gameplay when you've got two such different champions like the two that we have in front of us. Because cha1n can really control the pace of the game if he wants to, especially if he's got control. He can really force GaRpY into some corners, but it's about being able to have that overwhelming control, as GaRpY certainly has a good stack. You can see there's 2 totems below, so very soon you have the pocket mega, but cha1n just found them. That's actually a really huge play from cha1n to find out where those totems are. Now GaRpY's got one less tool on his belt.
And the moment you know that a lot of the tokens are out of play, as Athena, you kind of get a little bit more of a open season for when to use those hook shots. You know, you're not going to have that thing where you fly around the corner and bam, there's a totem. Not only for the damage, but the information that your position is compromised. And GaRpY now knows exactly where you are. He is going to beat into the punch there, and the mobility and the speed, it makes such a difference. It's one of the less mobile champions versus one of the more mobile, for sure.
Precisely. But GaRpY still got the armor, so although not having those 3 totems to work with, he's certainly not losing out on control. It's been challenged equally between both players. Heavy is going to be the next port of call for them, as GaRpY be hiding by the teleporter exit. He's just made himself known. Wow. Hits a ridiculous rocket that cha1n. He didn't even see that. Now GaRpY, if he can be fast, he can maybe get to the mega health, but that's great defensive play from cha1n there, keeping him back and ensuring that mega is not going to go to GaRpY.
A little bit of entry damage, but the rockets are good. Has to wait patiently, and the discipline from cha1n, knowing, look, if he's going to pump out this damage, I just need 1 rocket. Let's wait the time needed. Most players there would have tried to get an air rocket. She's so worried about dying, but straight the trap. What a shot!
There we go, cha1n. What a shot indeed.
That was disgusting.
He's got the heavy now to be rewarded. He's found another rocket possibility. GaRpY's going to go down yet again, and the mega's about to be up. cha1n, he might have had a slightly sloppy start to the series, but he is looking on fire at the moment.
Oh, trying to swap weapons. Hang on a minute. He gets the mega, but I think that might not even be enough.
Wow, did I just curse him or something there, Ketchup?
Maybe.
Because he just got totally caught with his pants around his ankles. He should have been able to switch, but he didn't really seem to know what weapon he wanted to use in that situation. He had the chance to hook away, but a small panic after what was an amazing series of plays we saw.
GaRpY's trying to turn this one around. Both players taking significant damage, but it's going to be GaRpY looking a little bit better now, as he has got those health bubbles to retreat to. And a totem, so he's fully stacked for this mega. If cha1n goes for it, this is actually a big risk.
Whoa. plays that cha1n's going for. He does have perfect timing on that mega health. The rocket GaRpY's got to be careful of. He's going to make it through the teleporter, looking for a flick vertical rail. But cha1n will escape. GaRpY barely so. He's going to want this heavy armor, but cha1n has to push for it. He has to know how weak GaRpY is. And that rail that GaRpY hits, that might secure it for him. It had to be returned, and GaRpY taking some risks, but he was the one being peeked upon. That was a little safer for him than for cha1n.
Yeah, it did give GaRpY some information though, because you heard of that little sound effect. The totem was stood on, which kind of let GaRpY know, hey, he's coming from this direction. So not only the initial damage, but the rail he could just sit and wait for. Now, he has a little bit of a favorable stack, but again, 6 minutes are gone. So we'll soon be in a situation where GaRpY has to try and maybe start chasing, and again, this is where the mobility really starts to come into play, and cha1n's hook shots have just been sublime.
Well, you raise a good point. I mean, going versus Athena, such a mobile champion, you've got 3.5 minutes, which is a decent amount of time, but you've still got to try and catch up with Athena. And that's, I'm curious how GaRpY's going to go around doing that, because he's going to have to force those hooks out. You've got the 3 charges for it. He needs to make sure that cha1n is burning through all of that, and then GaRpY's really going to be able to lock down a position on cha1n.
And cha1n knows that too. You know, he's very, very self-aware of his own situation, so he's not really using the hook shot until it's necessary, either to escape a fight, get some more mobility, and when he's caught on a jump pad, you can instantly pop that hook shot so you're not kind of stuck in the air like other champions would be. So it's going to be very difficult to force those situations out. It feels like, it may look like not much has happened, but you know, we've gone 30 seconds in and cha1n has just continued to play this defensive game. And he knew about, 2 minutes ago, he needs to make a switch up.
But I like what cha1n's doing. He's playing incredibly safe. He's making sure that his natural stack is at least full at all times. He's not really too concerned that GaRpY is picking up all the major items. He's more concerned about how do I keep myself alive for the rest of the game. You know, when you're playing for these prize matches, playing for positions in the global ranking, you do whatever the hell it takes to achieve that.
And there's a reason every time cha1n actually catches a glimpse of GaRpY, he's got the rail out. He's looking for those defensive rails to both undo some of the stack, to make GaRpY a little bit more nervous about advancing, so he becomes a bit more predictable, so he takes more damage. This is that rail, but he does give his position away. cha1n knows now exactly where he is. But once more, not really interested in taking the heavy. He's happy to let GaRpY keep the stack, because we've almost got a full minute down, 2 minutes left, and he's been able to keep this defensive game. I feel like he's going to run away for the whole 2 minutes.
I think so.
Like, it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a good rail from GaRpY. This helps, but at some point, he's going to have to take a risk and leave a major item up and really force the chase. It's going to be desperation point. He's going to fight in a second, but he just misses the jump through the archways. He could have had some good momentum just then. He can hear which direction cha1n's going, but he can just zip away quickly. Little rocket on the exit. Heavy's going to be up, and he's going to try and catch it. This is a really smart play from GaRpY. I say smart play. He's actually messed the timings up between mega health and heavy armor, but if he pushed down that lightning gun corridor, then cha1n wouldn't have been, maybe would have walked right into him.
But here's another one of those situations now. GaRpY's no longer able to walk and make sure he's hiding his sound and his noises. cha1n is going to very easily hear where GaRpY is trying to chase him, and as long as he's got those hook shots locked and loaded, he's always going to be faster. Yeah. But GaRpY has no choice but to sound like, a bull in a china shop, because he has to make something happen right now. There's only 1 minute left.
And you can see for the last 2.5 minutes, GaRpY's not been able to close the gap at all. Since he managed to get that 3rd frag, there's been no close range fight, and cha1n has just stayed well away from him. Oh god, the hook comes out. He almost drops him off Rafa's edge, but doesn't quite fall. The little nail gun splatter as you see cha1n just hooking off into the distance. GaRpY knows that he just can't get the speed to chase him there. But he's got to push through. He's got to go through any kind of rocket spam that comes his way. He's just got to charge. It doesn't matter how much damage he's likely to take. He's got to do whatever he can. If there's the 1% chance, he's got to make it. 34 health left. He hits one rail. cha1n trying to be aggressive. There's 10 HP remaining. But I think cha1n, he's just got to realize you don't need to actually go for the fight. Just stay away. No need to lock it down for a 7th. Just survive for these 20 seconds.
At the moment we hit that timer, we've seen how efficiently cha1n's able to play this retreat, even on the stack now. Only 10 seconds left. That frag isn't going to mean much now, as it should definitely be a 1-1 situation. And cha1n waking up a little bit in this second map, and I really do think both the playstyle and the champions played a massive part in how things unfolded.
100%. We go to 1-1 in this series. I was a little anxious about cha1n in the first map, but we saw a great comeback at the end of Awoken. It didn't quite materialize itself. But an awesome start here at Molten Falls, and they take each other's map pick. Brilliantly played cha1n.
Yeah, I mean, we see that so many times where, players will pick a map, and it's not like, that both players are inexperienced on the map at this stage. And we've had a lot of time for the players to get acquainted with how to play, but Yeah, I mean, this is the extra layer that I think Quake Champions introduces. Is that if you go into a map with a game plan and a champion is like the extended arm of that, you know, cha1n knew he has at the very beginning anyway, he was going very back and forth, aggressive when necessary. But the moment he sniffed out he had room to be defensive, he understands, hey, if I picked Athena, I can do this as well. You know, there are definitely like the evolution of how that map unfolded, and she was a really important part for getting the job done.
No, exactly. Playing it to perfection. And I really think in the champion draft there, you can see that there's also miniature games happening. That is the highlight so far of the day. And we're pretty early on in the day catch-up, but we want some more air rockets like that, because that was phenomenal.
I mean, but it kind of, for me, shows that just the understanding of the game, you know, and how we've gone so far in with Quake now, and we have had the different modes and the different formats and stuff like that, where now champion variety is so important. And it is the more of a, I think, head you have screwed on how to play Quake Champions a couple of years later. You know, cha1n, he has been one of the heaviest grinders in this part of the world. And I really think that those kind of picks really go to show just how much he's been prepared.
I think as we work our way towards the championship match as well, we do kind of realize then that these are the players that are the best, not just at Quake Champions, but at all the champions within Quake Champions. And I think that's the roundest way to be a player and to be at the top form. But when we end up seeing Cooler versus Kilson, I'm really curious what kind of picks we're going to get there as we kind of have that evolution throughout the day.
I think almost like because of the way the format has been constructed today, it's a great opportunity to kind of see, it's going to be like a tower, isn't it? We're going to start to see more and more understanding as we go. You know, we're going to compare these matches, the final matches, and it's going to be pretty ridiculous. But looks like we're loading in now.
Right on.
Blood Run should be our next map, and
okay,
similar. Blood Run is another one that can be highly defensive if you play your cards right.
Yeah, I mean the size of the map from Blood Run to Molten Falls is vastly different, but actually the style of play that you're likely to have really isn't that different at all, especially if you can gain a good lead. And look at the champions that we've got here. We have got Scalebearer and Keel. We are going with the heavy boys over here. And cha1n is wielding Scalebearer, who can just carry insane momentum around the map. But, oh, GaRpY, he doesn't make the jump across, but he's hitting all kinds of grenades. We get the bull rush frag right off the beginning. cha1n goes 1-0.
Yeah, you have to ask yourself, why have we seen these champions picked? And cha1n being highly aggressive, taking a bunch of damage, and GaRpY's going to get the turnaround. Yeah, there's a little bit of a head shake there. cha1n was kind of like, what happened? But ultimately, you know, you see Kill picked on Blood Run. It's one of his most popular maps because those grenades, a lot of close quarters and a lot of ways to both deny area and dish out massive damage. And you said it yourself, right? Scalebearer, it's momentum, it's speed. It's basically impossible to dodge his bull rush in certain parts of the map.
Especially if you're Keel, in fact. But I think cha1n was a little upset with himself that he missed some pretty critical rails when GaRpY was dropping down. You know what, GaRpY's not thinking about that anymore because he is super stacked right now. cha1n is far from that. GaRpY, he's got to capitalize on his opportunity to take the lead.
GaRpY's able to spring a trap. You know, there are a lot of these situations where he's not necessarily baiting right now, he's just trying to get some information. But if you do manage to catch cha1n round a corner and you're fully loaded on pineapples, he's got 10 rockets. I mean, he has everything he needs to kill cha1n regardless of stack situation. He can maintain that control now.
Trying to
see if he can get heavy.
That lightning gun a little bit. Both items are up. Mega's going to be an easy pickup. cha1n has only got 50 armor. He's down at the lower part of the map. He might find a light over here. This is going to help a lot. GaRpY just relinquishing control of it, trying to find cha1n over the other sides of the map. Not going to work out for him. And cha1n is slowly going to build that stack. But that rail, as long as GaRpY can hit a rail every 20 or 30 seconds, then cha1n's going to have a really hard time getting himself to a position where he can challenge in a head-on fight.
For sure. I mean, look at the two pickups, right? The Mega and the Heavy. If you want to try and get the Mega, and you're victim to all the grenades. If you want to try and get the Heavy, you're victim to Rail, or more importantly, LG. And as long as GaRpY keeps this stack, he should be able to get a free kill on either one if he springs the trap correctly. Fully in control, like cha1n, really looking for his one moment, but... And there it is, there's the LG. He gets the Heavy, a bit of a trade-off, and the Bull Rush, he does take reduced damage in the Bull Rush, so cha1n would use that to reduce as much as he can to get out safely.
I like that.
Yeah, taking it away was important, but GaRpY has still kept the stack. Missing the rail, though. He lands a shot, he does indeed. Now cha1n, straight back on the back foot.
Just a spare grenade for old time's sake.
He's got it back. He's fine.
GaRpY needs to find a way to push in somehow. cha1n, just as we saw with Athena, on Molten. He's managing to do it with Scale Bearer, where he's just staying away. This time he's not protecting a lead of any sort. He's just trying to pick off at GaRpY a little bit until he can get into a fight that satisfies him, where he has probably more than a 70% chance to win it.
This definitely strikes me as one of those maps that might not really come down to a huge difference in frags, or dare I say many frags at all. I feel like we're going to see this a lot on this map. It's about GaRpY maintaining as much control as physically possible. He is rotating the two really well, because they weren't collected at the same time at all, and GaRpY has no interest in delaying it so far. Just take it as it comes, and cha1n is rarely in a position to even get some bonus damage to try and make something happen. It's like GaRpY's positioning here has been superb.
Yeah, we are seeing that typical slow blood rush, very control-based, but a good little rocket to rel combo. Not a huge rocket from GaRpY, but enough to scare cha1n off, despite having just taken that mega. GaRpY trying to see if he can bait in any more ammunition, any more weaponry, but there's no real need for cha1n to be at the bottom when mega's not up. That tri-ball though starting to hurt a lot. cha1n can't land a rail. We've got the rocket jump. Lightning gun almost helping him get up towards that heavy armor. But again, great defensive damage from cha1n. He's hanging around on this occasion. He's scary low, 75, 80 points of health for cha1n. This is getting desperate again, and we're probably going to see him want to turtle the game once more and avoid fighting for at least a minute.
I mean, the goal against Keel is armor. If you don't have armor versus Keel and he finds you, you're going to have a terrible time. Completely can just breeze through you. Now cha1n, I mean, that's been his permanent home of residency there.
Yeah.
Power up room, but
this is difficult for him. 75 health, he does back away as fast as he can. GaRpY doesn't want to overcommit to it, because if he ends up chasing, then cha1n can just run around the map, do a loop-to-loop, and then get that mega health. He's on such a low amount of health. GaRpY has to get this frag as soon as possible. He needs that lead. If he doesn't get the kill within the next 30 or 40 seconds, then there's every chance that cha1n can come back, and it could really put you on tilt as a player if you can't make the best of this kind of control.
GaRpY temporarily, though, a little bit unsure as to where cha1n was, and you heard it there, the armor collected cha1n straight back up there. 5 minutes has already gone by, only 2 frags. Even if cha1n is able to delay this all the way into the 10-minute, we go into sudden death, you're still going to favor GaRpY. He's been maintaining control the entire map, and it's, cha1n, he's been very careful. He's being as safe as possible, because the moment you die and then lose control, GaRpY can zip around this map with the stack he's sitting on, with the grenade, and if he finds you on spawn, it's bonus frags. You've always got to think one frag ahead on a map like this.
GaRpY has to do the rounds on the big items. He's going to try and jump in from above and see if he can catch cha1n off guard. A little bit of lightning gun damage, but it's not really enough to put fear into cha1n's eyes. He needs to be able to cut down the frag. He does find it now. There might be a bull rush coming up soon. He's going to go for it. Grenades coming out. There's so much rocket damage. cha1n gets the frag. Unbelievable. GaRpY is going to be livid about that.
And he has an impressive stack too. It's not like he got that frag at the cost of barely anything, where GaRpY can simply pick it up, and some rockets as well. And now, after 6 minutes, it's GaRpY who's now going to have to try and chase down cha1n.
Wow.
And some defensive shots, it's going to work out, but GaRpY is very weak, and cha1n knows it.
This is so brutal. Like, after all the control that he had, and he's getting cha1n down to about 10 points of health, going in for the bull rush, looking for the rocket to follow up. The nail guns will hurt a lot. GaRpY, he comes back because cha1n's not able to pick it up. And there is going to be heavy in about 5 seconds time. GaRpY, he just wants to try and keep control of this center map. And cha1n, I think he's got a position below, which is really smart of him. He's got to make sure that GaRpY pays for that heavy if he goes for it.
That's why GaRpY's definitely not going to try and go for it immediately. He needs to force cha1n away first. He's looking at his own stack, and he knows it's nowhere near enough to survive if he tries to get the heavy. Risks dying for it.
Spamming some grenades might not be a bad idea. You can use the wall to sort of angle the grenades off of him. It's hitting a bit of damage actually, but cha1n's just got the mega health. Going to get a nail gun jump up. And can he find his way off? He doesn't have rockets that he can jump from very easily. And that lightning gun is really scary. So despite picking up the heavy armor, he doesn't walk away with that much more than he started.
It's always going to be one of the weaknesses of the larger champions. Significantly easier to hit that LG. And at this level, these guys aren't going to miss many. Just desperately trying. GaRpY, his issue is he doesn't have an LG. It has been a bit of a problem for him, and cha1n immediately beating him to the punch, making the read of, hey, I think you're going to try and pick it up, so here I am. And we're straight back into this difficult position where cha1n, much less risky for him to go and take this mega, honestly. GaRpY already took a bunch of damage, thinking it was safe beforehand. You might see history repeat itself, but the longer these standoffs take, the more the clock's going to go down, the less time GaRpY has.
Oh,
oh no!
Did you do that on purpose?
I don't know.
He might make the jump across anyway. He's going to risk it, but that lightning gun comes out. He needs the tri-bolt to hit hard, and it does actually hit very well. But cha1n has the full overstack on the health, and he's now starting to accumulate some armor.
Looks a little bit like a slip-up, I think, mostly because he still had the tri-bolt equipped. If you're going to jump down for a fight, normally you would probably switch. But then again, look at his weapons. No rocket and no LG.
He's finally getting the lightning gun. It's been about a minute and a half that he's only had the rail of the trifecta to work with. He's got a bit of damage on return of the nails, but it's a strong rail from cha1n. And here it comes. We're back over to the major items, and GaRpY's got to be making those decisions.
He knows Mega's up. I think he had the positioning in his head, right? If I was Scalebearer picking up the Mega, how far away would I be if I go right now and take the heavy instead?
This has been the best pickup so far in the second half of the game for GaRpY. He really needed to think about pushing, but he's just heard the bull rush come out. Doesn't get the shot. That's going to be sub 50 HP for cha1n. Looks for the rail around the corner. Goes for a little spam. But now GaRpY's going to have control of the map. But it's going to be Mega first. And I think cha1n's going to try and stay down there for it. He's backing away for a second, but he is going to brave it. However, there is a push. cha1n just gets launched through the teleporter with the power of the lightning gun.
But GaRpY doesn't have a lot of HP in this fight. Hasn't got a lot of time either. The 1 minute warning has already gone through here. cha1n. The goal's going to be to just get a little bit of armor, but where can he get armor that is safe? That's the question.
Well, it's all on those respawn timers at the moment. Heavy's going to be next up. And it looks like cha1n's not even going to go for the Mega Health on this occasion. GaRpY checking the sort of corners of the map. Doesn't see him. Teleporter used. And cha1n, he's just looking over. He sit close for a second, but he doesn't want to be part of it. He's going back with the run again. There's 30 seconds for him to kill. GaRpY's got to try and chase him. He needs to force out the bull rush as soon as possible because it is up. And GaRpY's movement is incredibly good, so he's got to keep going for it. And he's going to hope the cha1n will go through the teleporter, but he is waiting to get that line of sight first. And cha1n misses the rail shot. Great defensive plays on cha1n. Surely looking good to hold on to this advantage. 5 seconds catch up. Is cha1n going to put himself onto match point of this? 2 seconds
no way.
And 1, and it looks like it's going to be it. That's GG's. cha1n now 2-1 up.
And that was just very well calculated at the end, and it was all about that tactical positioning. Ultimately, he's sitting there, a teleporter at the bottom there of Blood Run. What reason does he have to go through early? You know, he knows GaRpY's going to be sitting on the other side. So instead, why doesn't he wait near the teleporter, get that bonus rail and retreat? It's a tactic we've seen in this game for since Blood Run was even introduced, and it was just so well calculated. And again, there's discipline there.
Yeah,
so many players in that position would get a little bit hasty, like, is he going to try and chase, or maybe they want to take some free damage?
They go through the teleporter too soon because they think they're just going to assume that there's a chase where GaRpY is trying to do that fake out and hope that cha1n's a little bit flustered and forces his way through the teleporter. But cha1n played incredibly calm under pressure. We see that now on 2 maps in a row, that his defensive games and his offensive games are incredibly strong. You can see here a couple of highlights of the match. The few frags that we had. This was the moment here that cha1n was out of control for so long and secures that frag near Secret. And that's the moment I think that GaRpY's really got to control his emotions, because with 4 minutes of full control, you really expect to be the one taking the next kill.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even down to that fight, it's just, once again, perfect calculation that Scalebearer, the sort of knockback feature on something like Blood Run, if you get caught in the corner, it's just free direct Rocket City. So it was almost like cha1n's idea to spring a trap in that specific room, because he can dish out so much damage in a short space of time. It didn't matter that GaRpY had a huge stack advantage, because if cha1n knows he can hit his shots and really maximize the damage, it essentially becomes a lot more even. It was just, just really good positioning, and he just waited for GaRpY to take the bait, and unfortunately for GaRpY, he took it hook, line, and sinker. Yeah,
precisely. And you've got to go back to making the best of your control. GaRpY, brilliant. The timing, the Mega, the Heavy, doing perfectly there. Taking cha1n down to about 10 HP and not being able to follow through from the frags. I mean, this brings me back to the demon points in time in Quake Live, and it's annoying to be able to see that now when GaRpY knows that he has to be able to close out those kills, and I can't state that enough. Going into the next map, though, GaRpY's got to keep his head screwed on here. We've seen some very strong games from both of these players, and I think it's still up in the air.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Ruins of Sarnath is definitely a bit of a change of pace. This is definitely one of those larger maps. There's going to be a little bit of a difference here. I believe the champion pick off the top of my head was Visor and Anarchy. So
yes, there is an Anarchy in this game.
Yeah, so I mean, Anarchy on Ruins of Sarnath has so much room to just fly around, and Visor is going to have that bonus. The piercing sight is a great tool to have on a larger map. We also see Visor get picked on maps like Molten Falls for the same reason, because you kind of need a little bit more extra information. You reach a certain point where you can't really listen to everything because there's so much distance between players. And Visor can kind of sort of bridge that gap a little bit. cha1n going to be going in once more. It's high-octane pick versus slow and calculated pick.
Absolutely, guys. We are into map 4 now here in the first prize match of the Quake Pro League kickoff. We are watching GaRpY on the Visor. Might want to try and bait in cha1n to get to the lightning gun because it's a weapon he's certainly going to want to go for. But you take it slowly. You watch out. You poke your head. If it's not safe, you do not enter the room.
Now, I don't know whether it is an experience thing here, but GaRpY, as an old-school guy, he's really favoring those more methodical, slower-paced champions. Whenever you see him play, he's going in for it. But speaking of going in, take the LG fight. He's taken some damage, but there's a lot of pickups to recover, so not really the end of the world.
Yeah, in some respects with Anarchy, you kind of build momentum through the map with the ability that you're using, getting yourself increasingly more HP. It's so subtle, but I wonder if that's something that's really going to take effect at all. These small differences in Quake can mean everything. Can make the difference between the players winning and losing their fights, just singular points of health. So we'll see.
Oh.
God, what a predictive rocket from GaRpY. He needs to find a little bit more damage though. There's about 100 HP, but he's just splashing away at him. cha1n denies the heavy, which is really good, but there's still a mega health for GaRpY to go towards. So he's going to be absolutely fine. I wonder if he's going to be able to get any more momentum in this.
Significant amount of distance between the players too. It's that rail. GaRpY looking good so far. Definitely saw the denial there where cha1n understood if I'm going to die, I may as well try and take away something important. You know, and losing the heavy means that GaRpY hasn't been able to be as aggressive as he otherwise would like to be. He's going to get the heavy now, and it wasted a little bit of time, but he should actually have time to get back to the mega here. 5 seconds on the clock. GaRpY trying to be nice and careful. Knows Anarchy's going to be in there, so he might. I wonder if he's going to have to either give up the mega. Yeah, he's beaten to the punch, and that is the speed of Anarchy. So many other situations, GaRpY were like, yeah, I've damaged him, maybe I can beat him and get some free damage. He's not going to have armor in this situation, but Anarchy has other plans for that, and so does cha1n.
I think it's more important. Oh,
nice.
Side rail. I'm going to try and chase a little bit. It's really important, though, he doesn't let go of heavy. He cannot let cha1n get past it. If he gets close to the kill, he's got to secure it. And if I were him, I would actually think about backing away. It's so important that GaRpY protects that heavy armor for as much of the game as possible, because if an Anarchy is getting himself full stacked, he's got that injection, got that extra speed, he is difficult to deal with. And I think cha1n is going to be relying a little bit on being able to open up the possibilities for that full map control.
Rare sights we've seen so far where there is a misthrow, but not punishing just yet. There's a little bit of time before heavy's going to spawn, so GaRpY, I want to beat him to the punch and take it first. And the moment you go close range against GaRpY, you know those rockets become a threat. Even as Anarchy, who arguably is better at dodging those rockets because of his movement, you're still dancing with the devil if you want to have a rocket fight with GaRpY in any capacity.
GaRpY still does need those rockets himself. Low on ammunition. There's the piercing sight. It's difficult actually for him to go for this without any rocket ammo. He might have to give this one up actually. And I think he realizes that, yep, no rockets means the heavy's going to go change direction. And you can see now at the top the amount of health and armor that cha1n has. It can get scary with a champion as mobile as Anarchy. Let's see if cha1n can do anything big with this opportunity. There's the push in, pass connected, but he is going to drop down to the low ground. And GaRpY somehow manages to secure the mega health. That was a weird little play that we just saw catch up.
I actually wonder if cha1n was aware that GaRpY had run out of ammo, because he was being timid to approach as if there were rockets available. And I guess it's one of the smaller things to micromanage, but the moment rockets are in play, they set up for free kills, and that's what happens when GaRpY actually has rockets in the tank.
cha1n, he had a big chance, I feel like, but not having that exact control on the mega health, and then just immediately giving it over to GaRpY. I feel like that's one of the biggest mistakes that we've seen so far. He does get the mega on this occasion. GaRpY's going to have to fall back a little bit. Slightly precarious position, but again, his rockets have been saving him. Good vertical route, but cha1n gets the rocket in return too. And that is going to put him on the board when he was on about 5 points of health. Pushes in a little bit. GaRpY's just got the machine gun. Needs to hide around the corner. There's the heavy. And starving cha1n of resources, despite not having that much himself. GaRpY should still be able to protect his lead.
However, with just a machine gun on spawn, cha1n's going to know that GaRpY's going to have to waste some time trying to get some weapons back. You can't take a fight if you haven't got the tools to get the job done, and cha1n knew that it was pretty free to kind of just run around and collect. And now there goes the mega. And GaRpY had no choice but to let it go because he needed to get weapons first.
A rail shot. That's going to keep GaRpY out of there. what's nice about cha1n is even if he's staying with 2 frags behind, he can really leave it to like almost the last 30 seconds because it's going to be very difficult for GaRpY to hide from cha1n. So he can take his time making his comeback, secure that, just make sure you're not giving more frags to GaRpY because it's always going to be possible for him to make a comeback.
Yeah, cha1n's going to know that that should have definitely been a piercing sight shot. That's always going to be one of the tricky things is, you know, understanding whether that rail you got hit by was so good, it was just a crazy good shot, or whether the, you know, the wall hack was available. It can be very hard to manage an opponent's visor cooldown.
Okay, it can be hard to tell sometimes because we just see insane rails constantly.
Yeah, exactly. So at this level, it's one of the harder things I think to make a choice on was, wait, was that an ability? When's it going to be back? It's kind of hard to get that information sometimes.
This is like, let's change just past the rockets. Let's see if it goes up above. There's like, been some good rails from GaRpY. Absolutely nothing wrong with that weapon, but cha1n gets a good one in return, and that's now important. cha1n picks up the heavy. Now he's starting to build that overstack again, so we go back to that moment we had that big opportunity earlier on. Let's see if he can get all the benefits from that again.
You know, in hindsight, I think the decision of wall hack or just a god is a bit of a testament to how good these guys are at this level of play.
Absolutely.
And really can't be like understated just how insanely high level that every player in this bracket has become.
Could be a small trap if cha1n decides to go to matter. Okay, he's not going to go for that. He doesn't really have enough information up at the top, so I like cha1n's decision. Oh my god, the predictive rocket and another follow-up. What a shot there from GaRpY. That's getting rid of all the overstack. cha1n hasn't done an ounce of damage yet. He's got about 60 health. Lightning gun. Walls closing in on cha1n. Can GaRpY get another massive rocket to just extend his lead a little bit? Light armor has been taken. GaRpY's now having to be a little careful, and cha1n's using all the resources possible. His injection's now being used as well. There's a little bit of a standoff. The major items are up behind him. GaRpY can pull away at any moment that he desires.
GaRpY being low on LG ammo was one of those, I think, thorns that sort of prevented him from pushing just a little bit, and that's why he's had to turn around and make sure he has to get a little bit more of that ammo good to go. Because the moment you run out of ammo in that fight, that was cha1n's cue to go in and get a return frag.
The rockets are out of this world, though, from GaRpY.
Do we expect anything less, though?
Yeah, I mean, indeed. You think it's impossible sometimes when there's that anarchy running around with full overstack, but GaRpY's still pulling out the moves with the help of the piercing sight, but it's just that second rocket that really stunned me.
As long as no damage is being done, of which now 90, the GaRpY was able to get an unturned rail. Gets the LG and cha1n. That was just not a fight to take. The stack just wasn't there. That's unfortunate, and now it's going to put cha1n even more behind, especially so as Mega has just been collected. Piercing sight activated. Another rocket. GaRpY, come on, man.
Even with the piercing sight, it's the predictive rockets. cha1n's not even moved there yet, but he just understands the kind of routes that cha1n is trying to take. Obviously, GaRpY being an expert Anarchy player himself, he kind of understands the objectives that this champion has.
He just heard a missed rail, so he knows the cha1n's going to be up top. The more information, the better. Getting clipped by one, but there's so much stack. GaRpY's not going to worry about that too much. The Mega has just been taken. GaRpY's going to be aware now, so the timing is going to exist. Does he go for it? Does he try and spring the trap on the teleporter? He does. He takes the bait. He needs to return around, though. GaRpY's taking a lot of damage. This might be a frag, finally, for cha1n.
Oh, so close. cha1n, he has got a decent amount of HP left. And I wanted to say that it's very difficult for GaRpY to make a decision to go passive. He has to be active the whole time. He has to be challenging that control because cha1n is just going to be leaping around the map at lightning speed. Great rail from him. This is not over cha1n. He doesn't want to take it to a tiebreaker. He wants to close this one out. The rockets aren't bad, but look at that lightning gun from GaRpY. 12 points of health.
Oh, tricky position now, though. He has to hit a rail. It's the only way he's going to kill cha1n. If cha1n tries to press this advantage, of which actually he doesn't, he runs away because he himself is weak. That was scary. If he went down there and pushed, GaRpY would have had to hit a miracle rail to survive.
That's a huge rail. That buys GaRpY some time where he can stack up on HP. He's going to get himself up more armor, but just rail and machine gun. This is a really scary time. He just sees him go through a teleport. He's like, thank the Lord for that. Because he was not ready for a close range fight then.
Yeah, and the act of going through the teleport is going to cut off cha1n's audio too. So it's not going to be as easy to hear that GaRpY actually was kind of right there. Oh, they're going to clash heads. cha1n has to make this happen. He has to press. Not a lot of LG ammo, but it doesn't matter. With 11 cells remaining, cha1n dies again. And I think we've reached the point of no return here as 15 seconds on the clock, 3 frags. I mean, impossible to win territory, Zoo. We're going down. to a final map.
Unbelievable. We've just started the day. We've just been waking up and we're getting it with the final score. Looks like it's going to be 6-2. GaRpY takes Ruins and we get our tiebreaker.
Would we have expected this to go any other way? I mean, like, I feel like the format of this entire tournament has really put into perspective how evenly split the opponents in these parts of the schedule are. I wouldn't be surprised if we see this almost every single time.
I mean, how many maps is that? Never do maths on stream. It's something like 35 maps.
That's a lot of maps.
That's
I normally play it safe and say,
I'm ready for it. Let's do it, guys. Players, 35 maps. Sort it out.
If not, massive disappointment. Massive disappointment. Well, I mean, what can we break away from how that went? You know, GaRpY pretty much just went straight off the starting line. I feel like there was almost no point he wasn't the one that was in control. And a huge part of that just came down to just accuracy and keeping Anarchy on the back foot. His whole benefit is supposed to be he's faster, he's harder to hit, he can really run rings around you. But at this level, and GaRpY's accuracy, and again, those crazy good rockets.
That's it. You absolutely nailed it right there. And a lot of the time, it wasn't even the fact that he was getting the kills, it was just totally removing and stripping away that control that cha1n was able to get when he could, and just predicting those movements and saying, okay, he's no longer a threat to me. I can now get on my merry business, and I can contest that control equally.
I mean,
it was
even
definitely
then,
the
from some of these replays, there were like a couple of bits where cha1n might have actually kind of miscalculated, either caught in wrong place, wrong time, or thought generally, hey, if I encounter GaRpY here, I'm still pretty confident maybe I can fight it. The moment we saw that fight in Nail Gun, where it almost like cha1n was trying to almost take a fight to him, and there was just, the stack difference was like, there was no way at all he was going to survive it. But GaRpY now, there's a lot of momentum on his side. That was not only a map win, but it was pretty one-sided. So he's going into this final map with, I think, more momentum in the set.
Yeah, and I did feel like if we got late into the series, that GaRpY would be one to have an advantage. I mean, I didn't maybe expect it to come down to this point at all, but in the last map, we know we predicted the British Bulldog, but we've seen some insane plays from both of them, and I don't know, who's going to go clutch is the thing. Who's going to be able to clutch it out and keep their ranking higher moving into the rest of the season?
Now, we've been talking about experience pretty much all morning. The final map's Blood Covenant.
I mean,
and that's where it's tested.
But it's also the proving ground for everybody at the same time. You've got players who have played it for 20 years or whatever, but if you want to get to this level, and you're someone like cha1n, you have got to be tested through that map over and over again. So even if you might feel at a disadvantage, you are doing so much homework on a map like Blood Covenant.
I feel like you have to, and it's not like you're short of research tools either, but...
I think, I mean, it's certainly up for debate, but I feel like Blood Covenant is something that Europeans are quite proud of how they play, and it's maybe not handled the same way as America. But I guess we'll find out about this story now, guys, because we are on the tiebreaker map of the first match. It's GaRpY and cha1n. Who's going to take this? We've got GaRpY's Death Knight on the server now. Let's see what he can get up to.
Now, he's playing no games. He immediately pops the Flame Strike just in case cha1n goes around the corner. Because if you get dual-wielded by a BJ, even that early on, he can still delete you. But speaking of champions, I'm really interested by the selection. We have a BJ and we have a Death Knight. Normally on a Blood Covenant, you've got a Nyx, you've got a Doom guy, you've got Ranger, you've got champions that let you maneuver around. But maneuverability is not something that either of these champions really have.
Indeed, but I guess this is what happens when you get into the late map in the series. The Blood Covenant is the 5th map, and you've already had so many champions banned out, played already, that you can't repick. So I'm curious what we're going to be able to see. This is very unusual for us on the online circuits to, I guess, to understand how this could go down exactly.
When the champion pool reaches the final stages, I mean, you go with what's remaining, but similar damage we'll see from both of these players. You know, GaRpY's going to look for those Flame Strike ambushes, of which he's been able to spring one and get some entry damage, forcing cha1n away. The reward there definitely wasn't the frag, it was just to push him away to say, I want this Mega, and I'd like it very much, thank you, cheers.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad rocket from cha1n, so it would have stopped GaRpY from chasing any further if he felt that, you know, he had a good enough entry to warrant doing that. But at some point, GaRpY is going to want to go hands on that heavy as well. But since cha1n has got dual wield available, approach with caution.
GaRpY with the high ground, it's especially difficult to land those return shots when someone's that high up and there's so much terrain to get in the way. We do see some real miracle rails coming through, but by no means are they easy to do. He's going to go towards heavy. Should get some free damage now as cha1n's running away. Rocket's a bit too slow on the take there, but Once more, GaRpY, as long as he maintains the high ground control, you have so much vision and you have so much avenues, I think, to get the majority of important pickups here on the map. You know, you've got Rail, you've got Mega, you can get the rocket launcher on the way as well.
But it's cha1n does all the damage in the end. GaRpY was the one waiting for him to walk past, but cha1n gets so much from that. Pretty quiet start. And given that it is a tiebreaker map, no one wants to put themselves out there right off the beginning. So we're not seeing those risks being taken into account. You're looking for an entry rail or two on return before we get a full commitment. But GaRpY goes up the bounce, but that's so dangerous to do. He needs to get out of there. 76 health, he's railable. And there's a push around the corner, looking for a follow-up rocket, but cha1n, I feel like he's gifted that one.
Yeah, that jump pad was just a temporary lack of judgment right there, where GaRpY knows it's a huge risk, but he must have just believed genuinely that at that moment in time that cha1n just wouldn't have been there. You know, it's a risk. You know, it's a high risk, high reward if you're able to just kind of easily get the high ground back, but if you're a bit greedy with it, you just want to kind of steal it back. That's the price that you pay.
Oh, we can push through. Another good rocket from cha1n. 10 seconds until heavy, so certainly that side of the map is what he's focusing on. GaRpY, he moves over, but I suspect he'll want to go down the stairs. Is he really going to commit for heavy? I think that's way too dangerous from him.
I mean, cha1n has more stacks. He's got plenty of ammo.
Wow.
Goes for the machine gun instead, because why even use a rail at this stage? But he's taking so much damage. What even was that?
I can't believe that GaRpY got away with that. I really, really can't believe. There's not a bad rocket. Look at that spinning rocket there. And another. The follow-ups from cha1n are unreal. 2-0. Those rockets again. I mean, we saw it from GaRpY last map, but now all about cha1n. He gets the lightning gun down. That's one more for the Canadian.
And he didn't even need to use his dual wield either, which means that if he springs a trap on GaRpY again, just like that, there's no way. I don't think GaRpY's going to survive the next fight if he catches another one.
GaRpY needs to slow it down. ASAP.
I feel like he's very much trying to kind of just strong-arm himself back into the match. And with someone like cha1n, who, like I said, the grind for this guy has been real. He's been playing so much, because he's not only himself, but to his peers. He has so much to prove as one of the up-and-comers. He's not going to just easily let GaRpY steal it back.
100-100. Has to kind of help him pick up a little bit. GaRpY, who's never afraid to go for a fight over here, pushes in with a brilliant rocket and gets the frag. GaRpY keeping himself in the game, and he's going to reward himself with a heavy armor. I think he rocket jumped after, because I see his stacks a little low, so he's not going to be able to make it over to that Mega in time. But
yeah,
good.
It wasn't a horrendous spawn for cha1n either. He's going to spawn near LG. Mega's right there too. He's not really as able to take these long-range fights, but now he's got the heavy machine gun, so that's going to change just a little bit. No rail necessary when GaRpY's this weak, and cha1n should very well know that he's weak. Knows he goes towards LG. I mean, what perfect read on movement. Like, he's completely cutting off GaRpY. 5 minutes are already gone, and cha1n comfortably in the lead.
Yeah, cha1n's looking good. He's not cracking under pressure at all, and he's ensuring that that pressure is now converted over to GaRpY. Hits a rocket there that didn't seem to do half bad damage whatsoever. And he's going to try and get some high ground. The Mega's up. Don't think he quite got that intel over there on the crossing of Upper Banana, but he's going to see him now. He might want to push through. However, the Flame Strike says otherwise.
GaRpY, again, he sprung the trap.
Wow.
Air movement too.
Oh my god, cha1n is getting these incredible reads. Fantastic starts to the fight. Rocket popping GaRpY up so that this follow-up is easy. And then he's able to switch faster than GaRpY.
So many of the frags we've seen cha1n get have actually just been getting the perfect reads on GaRpY. And it can really put a bit of a weird situation in a player's head where it says, man, everywhere I go, he's just right there.
Yeah, I really think that's been cha1n has just had an understanding of what's going on the map way more than GaRpY. And if that's different, it's because GaRpY's taking risks that he shouldn't otherwise be taking. Rockets are absolutely stunning from cha1n. And a direct, there we go. 6-1. He can probably smell a victory now, but there's still hard work to do because some crazy things can happen here. But the dual world now getting popped out. Gonna get one rail, trying to follow up, but he gets it in time. GaRpY can't get anything done. He's got 3.5 minutes to make this competitive, otherwise he's gonna get blown out of the water in map 5.
I mean, you can tell why cha1n went for the dual-wheeled rail there. He knows that if he can keep GaRpY in that situation, GaRpY even tried pushing it. He's trying to force it again, finally get to frag, but we'll check out his stack at the end. Heavy, it's about to spawn. has to try and get in and out while taking as little damage as possible, because once more, every time cha1n is dying, he's getting spawns that just put him in a great position. He's got stack, he sometimes has mega, he can now retreat and get mega again. Like, cha1n's recovery off dying has just been way better than what GaRpY's been able to achieve.
I'm definitely questioning GaRpY's choice of routes to go across, get the rail before getting the heavy. Having the heavy as soon as possible, then going to the rail, he would have found himself in a totally different position. So just that ordering, small details, but you know, maybe those are kind of the situations costing him positionally. I think it's dual wheeled out as well at the moment. It's a rocket jump up, but it's right into the lightning gun. Doesn't seem to matter because he's outstacking GaRpY so much.
I just feel like GaRpY, his general judgment on this map has just not been as good as cha1n. cha1n's making a lot of the right calls here. GaRpY's being both incredibly impatient. Really one of the things that's been slowing him down is that he's just trying to force his way into these situations and they're just not there to be taken. There's a time and a place sometimes to pick a fight, and GaRpY, I mean, now he's in a bad situation. He has to try and do it because he's too far behind. But it wasn't the case at the start of things.
If I'm cha1n at the moment, I'm just looking at putting pressure on the items when GaRpY wants to go for them, and otherwise being a little bit passive, not overcommitting to any fights. He doesn't need to stick around here anymore. He can back away, get himself the mega health, and you know what? He's looking absolutely fantastic to protect himself. He does drop onto this. GaRpY has the rail out early, but here's the dual wheel. Should be another kill for cha1n if he can land it. Doesn't even matter if he doesn't, because look how low GaRpY is. He needs more time to get back into the game.
It's exactly what you just mentioned, though, which is why overextend? You know, there is a significant frag difference here. 1.5 minutes on the clock for cha1n to take this prize match. And you know, let's just win on frag limit alone. Like, who cares? We don't need anything else.
Just time ticking away now. cha1n can feel it, just got to make some optimal decisions. Right at the bottom of GaRpY, again, there's several times he's had the rail out when he should be equipping a different weapon. GaRpY's now got to just push in through his choke points, even if he's weak. He does not have the time to sit around and wait for cha1n to make a positional error or anything like that. And look at that tri-bolt. Just reducing the stack. Any stack they able to make. We've got dual-wheeled rockets, and it's another for cha1n. He'll possibly go down to the fray. He doesn't!
Oh, wow.
He gets the recovery on the blood pool, and GaRpY can't even pick up that kill.
I just feel like every avenue for GaRpY to have some sort of light at the end of the tunnel has just been stolen away. He's going to get the kill now, but I mean, I feel like once there is too little too late. There is not going to be enough time here. cha1n has just played this absolutely perfectly, and GaRpY's just a couple of instances, well, more than a couple, I suppose, where he tried to force his way into it. He was being way too impatient, and cha1n, the discipline. He just had more discipline in this final map.
Yeah, completely. And you can almost do a little victory lap at the moment. And nice little rocket jump across, trying to get some position onto heavy. And this fight's almost for nothing now. 10 seconds though. cha1n can just try to pop off with a couple of rails. Gets himself to 11. And those are going to be the GG's called, guys. We got cha1n taking GaRpY 3-2.
I mean, that final moment where just every time GaRpY had an ounce of hope to do something, cha1n just denied it. He's in there, GaRpY, so smiles all round. He's always a player that will understand, hey man, that was a bad final map. Fair enough, it is what it is. He played well, GG's. A lot of respect being shown.
Just a couple of moments in that where, going up the bounce pad right at the beginning into that first frag, that was the moment where I was thinking, there's a hiccup here that you can't afford to make on a tiebreaker map.